How can that be bad for your kidneys? Well, couple ways. Basic strength training without doing any sort of cardio, but also not doing any sort of illicit anabolics, nothing like that, by itself actually can raise your systolic blood pressure. It's not, all else held equal. If you're eating a normal American diet, and you're just throwing some strength training, you may be actually increasing your blood pressure. So high blood pressure is one of the main killers of the parts of our kidneys that do all the work, the nephrons. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, that is going to bang up your kidneys, and it is a relatively common complication of folks who are abusing anabolic steroids and not doing the important things to be proactive about that. How do you offset that? You control your blood pressure. Cross-training is also a good idea. You watch your diet, all that stuff. Perhaps you're supplementing with some things you bought on the internet that make you get big real fast. Then you want to be thinking about, all right, what blood pressure meds can I take that are not going to sabotage all the work I'm doing? In other words, I'm not a big fan of using many of the beta blockers for blood pressure just because they're not as good for blood pressure. The main ones, obviously some of the new ones are actually very good for it. But in this case, when people think of beta block for blood pressure, unless you're deep in the weeds here thinking propranolol or metoprolol or one of those, they're okay. But the problem is they're going to make you just feel really... You can't get your heart rate up by design, but in doing so, exercise is not going to be quite as exercisey. You're going to tire out too fast. Instead of that, I lean on the medications and the classes of the ACE inhibitors and the angiotensin receptor blockers, the ARBs. The first one, the ACE inhibitors, end in the prils, so it's lisinopril, captopril, enalapril, all the prils, whereas the other ones are going to be the ones that end in sartan, so it's telmisartan, losartan, valsartan, all those. But I got a favorite. My favorite is telmisartan. And the reason why is telmisartan, incidentally, has a different pathway that's also working on that stimulates that mitochondrial biogenesis. It stimulates the division and birth of healthy mitochondria in your cells, the parts that produce the energy. So going back to ATP again, mitochondria are the place where you're making a lot of ATP, but a lot of us don't have healthy mitochondria. So one of the cool parts of this telmisartan, the pathway that it's working on actually kind of rejuvenates some mitochondria. And we've seen this in the outcomes of the research. So we don't just see it in a lab test and see that, oh yeah, you give telmisartan to this petri dish of cells and now they get more mitochondria. No, in reality, we actually give it to people and see that their metabolic health improves even more than someone else who got a different sartan. So they took a study comparing people on valsartan and losartan and compared it with equal blood pressure control on telmisartan. And the telmisartan group also had lower risk of Alzheimer's and blood sugar issues and all that kind of stuff because of the extra activity it has. When those go bad, everything else goes bad. So you want to protect them as much as you can.